we launched 24/7 Black Leadership because, the 24/7 Wall Street report that said our community was the worst place for Black people in the United States.
No one ever wants to be on the worst place to live list, especially when it's your hometown, right? And so when that 24/7 Wall Street report came out stating that Waterloo, Cedar Falls was the number one spot.
And that ranking came with several different categories, ranging from home ownership, ranging from entrepreneurship, all the way to median income.
And that's just not who we know our community to be. While numbers, you can't lie about numbers, right? Like, numbers tell a story, and it's a very important story. But we also know that we're more than what those numbers say. We know that there's talent and there's people here that will do something to see things change.
We just said, we got to do something. We can't keep talking about this. We can't keep meeting with stakeholders and having the conversations, because planning takes 2 to 3 years. We just said, we're going to go.
And want everyone to be able to thrive as a whole. And so essentially 24/7 Black Leadership Advancement Consortium, we came together to support each other, to be a network to each other, to see how we can uplift and empower and act at the same time the pandemic hit. So you have this dual calamity of a pandemic striking the United States. At the same time, it sends everybody home, and we're watching these murders for no reason happen on television. And it just literally got to be too much for a lot of us. It literally was like, we have to do something now. We have to do something for change. And we call it the perfect storm. It was really, really, horrible that we had to see these things, but it did enact something, I think, in all of us. And I don't think we were the only ones. I think across the nation and the world as a whole, for many people, it was a time to act. And so out of that, 24/7 Black Leadership Advancement Consortium or 24/7 Black was actually formed.
Since I'm tired of, wanting to just talk about the issue or talk around the issue, how can we actually put dollars, put funding to use for African Americans and for Black people in general? So that was how the seed was started, the seed was planted, and how the work began. I think from there, it really was, how can we, when we talk about empowerment, when we talk about, giving back, or we talk about, how we can do more, we frequently never talk about what it means to be entrepreneurs. We don't talk enough about what it means for financial empowerment. We always talk about maybe additional, subsidies or additional dollars that can be given, but we don't talk about how we can empower the Black community. And this is what that's about. We're talking about giving dollars back to the Black community, and not necessarily having strings attached, like you have to do this, that, and the other. This is about how you yourself can have an idea for your business, how you yourself can look at your investment portfolio and expand, how you yourself can do different things for home ownership. And when we're talking about for our people, it means something different.
The 24/7 Black Leadership was an opportunity for those within our community to reach back and help develop business, develop entrepreneurship, develop mentorship for those that were aspiring to go into some level of business. Because you think about it, small business, they're the backbones of our communities. Small businesses equate for a high percentage of the overall job market. And by having businesses that are located directly in your community, that means those dollars continue to spend over and over and over in your local community.
Well, the purpose primarily is to empower Black people financially, and to really start to help, for me personally, on a small scale, to really help my people understand how this whole economic financial literacy piece really works. Too oftentimes it's worked against us because we really don't understand how this whole economic piece, how it all everything ties together.
To see, number one, so many entrepreneurs respond and say, you know what, we could use something like this, we could benefit from a program like this. They wanted to be a part, they wanted to participate, they wanted the knowledge. They had great businesses already, This was just like the extra on top, like if you was getting an ice cream sundae and we were the cherry on top. That was just it.
All right, the purpose of the Black Business Entrepreneurship Accelerator program was to get businesses within their first 3 years of business and provide them with access to resources, financial resources, mentorship, and business education as a whole. And our initial round was a 6-month period that we took businesses through. We've since condensed that to 16 weeks. And so it provided small business owners, Black small business owners in particular, with resources that we generally would not have access to.
It's to create a formalized approach for Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurs to go through a process to create either growth or the startup success. It starts with a professional approach of having someone who can guide this the entire time. As volunteers are wonderful, but to have someone that's there all the way through the process, leading the process of a common understanding of the business language and business concepts, from customer discovery to your marketing channels, to all of those aspects, and learning it together as a group.
But at the time, what we did have was a lot of people that were innovative, that were creative, that had mom and pop businesses for many, many years, or even thriving businesses. And so what we decided that we could do quickly and have an impact was really figure out how we can support the Black entrepreneurial ecosystem in the Cedar Valley.
So much of the growth of our community, and not just growth in terms of business terms, but just growth in terms of opportunities, engagement, things happening, comes from people that just take on starting something. You know, somebody that just has an idea or a vision for a new product, a new service, and they just do it. It's that weird innate drive that no one usually asks you to start a business. It's just you have that inkling to want to start something and create something, and you go for it. But it's hard, and we didn't really have a good support structure for how people would do it. And I think from realizing how I had access to this network of people that most other people never get access to, that's been incredibly helpful to me as a person to start new companies, to start some new businesses, launch some new products. So my goal is always kind of how do we make sure everyone, who no matter where they come from, what their background is, if they have a good idea and they're willing to put in the work, they should have access to that network.
You can always hire a speaker to come in and talk about this is what entrepreneurship looks like. It is completely different to say this is a program that where you have an idea, you can bring your idea to fruition through this program. And then we end it with, it's a small amount, but we end it with seed money, which is saying, we believe in you. And that is why it's so incredibly important to do this. And the fact that we have a waiting list for each one of our classes tells me that people know about it. And it tells me that people are anxious to do this kind of work. They want to be seen and heard. And we can make our community, by ourselves, we can make our community flourish.
The 24/7 Black has a clear mission, and that's so important. It's really to help address the 24/7 disparities that we have with members of the Black community and the Black-owned businesses in our community. And it's succeeding because we created a program, or they created a program. I feel like I was at least a little bit of a piece of creating that through Renew Waterloo. But it's focus. It's not trying to solve all the problems at once. It's taking them one step at a time. It's working on first with this Black Business Entrepreneur Accelerator, and not taking it to solve all the community problems, but to really focus on the Black-owned business.
So the Black Business Entrepreneurship Accelerator program is unique in the fact that it solely focuses on Black businesses. I've been a part of other organizations and business accelerators, and none of them have been completely focused on the Black community, because what we know is that our experiences are different. They're different than the broad community. And a lot of times when I was in other programs, those programs didn't necessarily recognize that my experience when I went to banks, my experience when I was looking for mentors, wasn't the same as the experience that they were having. And this program is very unique in the fact that we understand what those access points need to be, and we are a gateway to make sure that people are developing the relationships and they feel secure in that, because they know that they have a team of people behind them.
Many of the entrepreneurs, almost all of the entrepreneurs who've entered into the program stuck with it. Very many accelerators don't see someone stick it out to the end. Remember, the first cohort was 6 months long, but we see the entrepreneurs stick with it, figure out, how do I overcome these challenges? What can I do differently if this path or this door closed down? So we see that tenacity, that grit that is so important for entrepreneurship in every single one of the cohorts that we've ushered through to graduation up until now.
So what I'm noticing is that a lot of times our people start businesses because we've mastered a hobby. And so that's why we're really good at it. The misconception, though, that that's all it takes to run a sustainable business is a lot of times our demise. So 24/7 Black and the BBEA program is really working to bridge the gap between this hobby that you've mastered and have found out that people will actually pay you for, and sustainable businesses that we can actually use as a foundation to build wealth for generations to come. So that's why the program is absolutely necessary.
So for me, being an entrepreneur, the BBEA program really helped me to advance myself in my business, because before I felt like I was running 3 different companies. I felt like I was Nia the mentor, or Shindig the videographer, or Shindig photographer, or Shindig with the light gear. And they were just like, how can you put all of those things into one category? And the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's purpose-driven art. No matter what I do, it's art driven for a purpose. So they helped me find my target audience. They helped me find the market that I needed to be giving my merchandise and my product to. And then they helped me find the resources to bring it all to life.
So the program really helped me to take a deep dive into the finances of my business and walk away from my job. I was able to do that through Rashonda coaching me and mentoring me.
So a lot of the other parts that is really important is that relationship with the bankers in our community. It is about the other business leaders who have successfully done some stuff that can say, hey, I'll take you under my wing. Let me tell you about some other things that's worked well for me.
Since the BBEA program and since graduating, I've noticed a lot of the things that they taught me actually come into real life. So before, I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have a marketing plan. I didn't know exactly how I needed to pitch my business. But ever since, and literally I'm like, man, how come none of these things happened before? Ever since, they're like, okay, do you have a business plan? Okay, well, who's your market? Okay, well, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, you know what? I have an answer for all of that. So here you go. So yes, I noticed that I'm more prepared. My business is more prepared. My back ends are more prepared. I feel like I can take on any opportunity and not feel intimidated by what they might ask me, because I know the program prepared me for whatever.
Now that you learned a little bit about our labor of love, we just want to ask for support. If you want to volunteer, or maybe you're a business owner and you want to talk about how you can diversify your supplier network, all these things mean a lot when it comes to supporting our businesses. Just a few dollars goes a long way to make sure our businesses can scale and reach the next level. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Our email address is 247black, BLAC, @gmail.com, and that is the same for our website address. Please feel free to reach out and we'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much for your time.